everyone. Welcome to the Self-Awareness Journey podcast. I'm Melissa Albers.
And I'm JJ Parker. This podcast is for seekers, seekers of happiness and joy, seekers of a centered approach to success in life, seekers of their true, authentic selves.
Get ready for some real talk on everything from anxiety, emotions, and habits to love, compassion, and forgiveness. We know you'll be challenged and enlightened by this conversation. We're so glad you're here. Let's dive in.
Hey, Melissa.
Hey, what?
You know what we should do?
What?
Talk about the word should.
Okay. Actually, that's funny because when you said, you know what we should do, I was going to say, I don't want to.
Well, that's a good response. So I was thinking about the word should, and we use should all the time.
Oh, I know.
It's a really common word in our vernacular. And when I think about like the words we use, especially the ones we use a lot, I think about how our language shapes our thinking, right? And our thought patterns.
Yes.
And the word should in particular, I don't really like.
Good.
Agreed. Podcast over.
This is like our most short and most succinct and efficient podcast we've ever done. We're at 2 minutes
All right,
and 52
everyone, stop
seconds.
using the word should, and we'll be set.
Okay, it's perfect. No, I'm totally in alignment with you, which I know never makes for as interesting of a dialogue. You usually try to have.
So why don't you like this word? Why don't we like this word should?
Yeah, I'll say why I don't, and then I'd like to hear why you brought it up.
Okay.
The reason I don't like it is because it is a part of at least 50% of my coaching conversations with all of my clients.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a heck of a statistic.
Yeah. And I would also say that it is 100% something that is talked about with every single one of my clients at least once.
So, but how do you talk about should with your clients?
Yeah.
Like, and how does that come up?
Well, when people say, like if people are in a learning process, or if people are wanting to change something, or people are trying to become more flexible or anything like that, the first thing that someone usually says is, well, I should stop doing that. I should pay attention to this. I should. And it's just so heavy, and it causes real anxiety for people because it's an absolute. And it makes them feel bad, makes them feel guilty.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. Like when I was thinking about the word, I wrote that should means guilt or social programming.
Or
right?
shame.
And then you added shame, right? So the idea is so many times the conversation with either yourself or someone else, could be your internal conversation, your internal dialogue,
right?
Is, oh, you know what? I should go do this or that. And to me, it's like, why should you do that?
Yeah.
And a lot of times you think you should do that because there's like a social expectation, an external thing that makes you think you should do it.
Or even worse, a personal expectation.
But you don't want to.
Right.
That's why you're using the word should.
Or there's some
because you're
sort
not
of
going to.
Even if you, exactly. Or even if you don't want to, or you do want to, there's some sort of pressure in there, right? There's some sort of expectation there. That's the word. There's an expectation in that word should, that anytime there is an expectation, we're setting ourselves up for resentment. And I've said that many times in podcasts before. If you put yourself into any sort of expectation, it doesn't happen, and then suddenly everything's crumbly.
Yeah. And so that expectation is, you're saying, is often set by yourself.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be social, although it can be. I'd like to hear more about your idea on that one.
Well, about the social programming idea. Yeah, I just think that there's a lot of things that we see like on TV or through stories or however we're kind of like understanding how society works, that we see other people behave in a certain way.
Yep.
And we think, ooh, I should should, there it is again, I should act that way.
I should do that.
Right. Or like I kind of like read a lot of entrepreneur tech startup, blogs and things. And there's so many articles about like this successful person's morning routine. They get up at 4:30 in the morning and then they do this and blah, 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 right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or like we'll see how certain people maybe we admire even act.
Yeah.
And then it will turn into that should word. Like, oh, I should also get up at 4:30 in the morning and do 2 hours of meditation and eat 4 raw eggs. Like, no, I shouldn't.
4:30 is the middle of the night. Let's just
that
call
does
that
not
out.
Work for me, right?
Yeah.
But when we see other people act in a way, and maybe they're even getting some like results that we kind of want, then that word creeps in, and that's like kind of the social programming I'm talking about. And that's maybe a more extreme example, but
I don't know if it is. I don't think
it happens
it's an
all
extreme.
the time, even more subtly, right? Like I should mow my grass more often.
Well, let me ask you this.
Does.
Yeah, right. Let me ask you this. So like keep going on the social pressure business because I think there's something in this. So we see like, okay, there's a bunch of advertisements right now, right, for volunteering, for example. And it's like Habitat for Humanity or Second Land or whatever the name is called that I donate to all the time. And now I can't remember their name. So what is it called?
Second Harvest Heartland.
Thank you. But you see all these ads or you see, stories about them or what have you, and you say, I should do that. I should. Yeah. And even if you do some part, I should do more. Let me ask you this. What happens right after that? What happens? How do you feel right after that?
Then you feel guilty. Like you feel guilty that you're not doing it.
Yeah.
Like I didn't adopt a dozen homeless dogs and now I feel bad that I didn't.
Yeah. Well, or I did and now I shouldn't have done that.
I did.
Which should be more like me.
We'll have to do a
That's a bad example.
On shouldn't instead of should.
We'll do shouldn't next. That's so good. Like I have a lot of material for that. A lot of exploration. Oh, I shouldn't have done that.
You shouldn't have done a lot of stuff.
I shouldn't have eaten that 800-pound bag of small chocolate chips. Anyway, but yeah, if you think about it, the intention of wanting to help or wanting to be a part of something is very pure and very natural, right? Yep. Wanting to improve yourself, wanting to not feel bad about something that you felt bad about in your past, wanting to stop a bad behavior, wanting to stop a thinking pattern that doesn't feel good. Like that's all really pure, right? That comes from a really good feeling place. And you could be so well intended. And that's the piece that I wish people could focus on more is what's the intention behind it, right? If you say, I want to stop cutting people off when they're talking, or I want to stop being so bossy when I'm in this group of people that have a hard time making a decision, or I want to stop getting so mad at my parents every time they do these things. Like I want to, it would just feel better if I didn't do these things. Well, then all of a sudden we say, well, I should start by making a list. You can feel the energy completely shifts right in that moment.
Yeah.
And the pure intention is no longer part of the equation or even it's not in front of you anymore.
Yeah. Like what you're saying is the word should, once we use it, it actually almost short circuits our emotions to the guilt part.
Yeah, exactly.
We like skip over the intention part as soon as we use that word. Yeah. And we don't honor what we should do.
Yeah, should do.
Right.
I have this habit in coaching, and I'm sure it's a super annoying habit for all of my clients, because in the middle of the conversations.
All your clients are currently listening and taking notes.
Yeah. They're all like, when is my contract done? But I think like in coaching many, many times, people will say, yeah, you know what? I should really think about that. I should. And I always stop them in that moment. And I say, you get to. And I replace the word should with get to. So try that out. Like that's a very different feeling. It feels super foreign. Like,
so use that an example. Like, I should start eating better.
Yeah. I get to start eating better.
I get to start eating better.
And if I do that, I will feel so much better. Even at least emotionally, I'll feel better because I'll know I'm making a step towards doing something that feels good for me.
Yeah.
I should give more money to the food banks. Okay. That feels like laced with guilt. That feels like it's laced with judgment.
Yeah, because right there, like I was going to just say that.
Yeah.
As soon as you said that, I said, wow, you're really judging yourself for a thing you haven't even done or not done yet.
Exactly. If you change the wording even to, I get to donate to food shelves. I feel really lucky that I get to do that.
Yeah.
And maybe it won't be more than $10, but I still get to. And that feels really good because there's many opportunities in my life where I haven't been able to do that. So the feeling is very different.
You're right. The energy totally changed as soon as you said that. It turned into like an opportunity, like
expansive.
You're switching to a more abundant mindset.
Yes.
Instead of a scarcity mindset, right there with that little tweak of language.
Yeah, and should is constriction. Should is constricted energy. Should is constricted activity. Should is constricted thinking. And I think that the moment we do that, so then like even taking how we compare ourselves to other people, and we might say, well, they're doing all of these things, this person has a full-time big job just like I do, but this person does all this stuff afterwards, they're in dance with their kids. They're in, they love all these things, right? They love sports. They have season tickets to all these things. Like they're so busy. And how come I'm not? Like I have a big job. I'm really tired.
I should be able to do all that too.
I should have a little more energy. What's wrong that I can't do that? Forget about the resources. It's simply like the personal comparison and then feeling bad by using the word should instead of, what? I could, instead of I should, like even if you don't like get to, you could even say I could.
I could, yeah.
Yeah. I could think about that. I could be more open to change.
Interesting. The comparison part you were just talking about is really easy to use comparison with how someone else is and have that should word creep in there.
Yeah. We should do a podcast on that. We should do that. Could you write that down? Thanks. And I know you're the one writing it down. You're right, though. Yes. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. It's funny that we're catching ourselves using should in the way we're explicitly saying not to.
Yeah.
Because it's so ingrained in all of us.
I know. It really, really is. And you were saying at the beginning of our conversation that it's very much a social thing, that we that we look social, that we feel a social pressure.
Well, that there's a social pressure, yeah. I was thinking about that was one of the big drivers of this word.
Yeah.
But the other thing you've been talking about, there's like a big, even internal driver. So like the question is like some of our internal dialogue.
Yeah.
What's that influenced by? Right? That's probably influenced by like our upbringing.
Yeah.
Some of our own sort of natural wiring. Like for me, when I was younger, I would hang around all of these extroverts, right? And they were talking and laughing and gregarious and engaging with other people, and I just kind of sitting there in the corner.
Yeah.
And I would use that all the time, like, I should be more social. I should like this more, right? Like, I should go do this. I should go act like they're acting. But it's just like my natural wiring doesn't make me want to do that.
Yeah. It's interesting too, because it's almost like the social pressure is a thing on purpose, right? It's been created on purpose.
Yeah, we're social animals, right?
Yeah.
That's part of how we survive.
Yeah, just like if you think about every single marketing campaign in the universe, it's based on the subtleties of the human psyche, what the human wants, and crafting messages to make the human think, oh my gosh, I should do that. I should be that. I should want that.
Yeah.
And it may be completely counterintuitive to who we really are.
Yes. So you've cracked advertising, which is just make people think that they should do something.
Yes, that's
like buy your product.
that word, I mean, exactly right. That whole advertising is like, that's the pinnacle of shoulds.
Uh-oh, now we're arming everybody with the superpower to resist advertising. The whole economy is going to crumble.
And it won't be because of us. Oh my gosh. It'll be because of self-awareness. But it is something I think that we should, oh my gosh, I just did it again.
Telling you it's impossible.
Oh, it is something that we could be more aware of. Right? And
Absolutely. Absolutely. We should be more aware of it.
Yeah.
Let's see. I have to rephrase that in the way
I know.
we get to be more aware of it.
We get to be more aware of it. And I think that the whole reason I like the phrase get to instead of should is because get to kind of feels, when you were a little kid and you really wanted something and your parents are like, yes, you get to do that after you've done your chores. The feeling of get to is like kind of like a bubbling up enthusiasm, like, oh, I get to go on this great trip. I get to go do these things, right? It's like this, like you kind of get a little giddy feeling inside.
Yeah.
And to say
so much better.
It's so much, it just feels good. And when things feel good, then we operate easier. Everything feels nicer. It's easier to be in relationship and partnership, and everything becomes easier when we feel good. And we use very small language like this, not even noticing that it doesn't really feel good.
So I have one more question for you.
What?
So sometimes, actually probably a lot of times, I might be in a conversation with someone else and they'll say, you should go do this and that.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So that's not an internal thing of me saying, like, I should do something for myself, but it'll come externally like, oh, you know what you should do?
Right.
We say that all the time to other people, right? Hey, Melissa, you know what you should do?
We do actually.
So I've been working on responding to that because, like, how do you respond to that? Hey, Melissa, you know what you should do? You should get out there and clean the chicken coop.
Yeah, right. Could you just hold Roscoe real quick while I do that? That'd be great. Yeah, I think that's really, again, when you consider the intention behind things, which I wish we could more easily do all the time, because I don't think that's very easy to do, but I think it's the most important part of everything is what's the intention. And oftentimes, like if you say that to somebody, and this is just my opinion, if you say, hey, Melissa, you should, the very first thing that I do unconsciously is I check the intention. Always. If you say that to me, I know it's because you're purely intended and you know me really well. So you might be saying something and I might say, oh, that's probably a good idea. And I bypass the fact that you used the word should or didn't. It doesn't matter because I feel your intention.
Yeah.
However, if it's somebody that I
you're
don't know,
especially tuned in kind of person.
Yeah, right. So. I am very tuned. I try to be as tuned in as possible all the time. That's for sure. But if it's somebody that I don't know or somebody that I get sort of a whiff that it's not a good intention, I don't even pay attention.
Yeah.
I don't pay attention.
Yeah. As
do you? Do you notice?
Do I notice that people do that?
If people do that with you, what do you feel about that?
Oh, so I used to kind of like, because I'm super accommodating on all conversations, I used to just kind of sort of like, oh yeah, like let's talk about that, or yeah, maybe I will do that, and kind of be agreeable to it. But the older I get, sometimes I'll just say like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, you have changed that way. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So someone will be like, oh, you know what you should do? You should go start this or that kind of company. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that.
I'm out.
It's not my thing.
Yeah.
So I'm much more blunt about responding to shoulds.
Yeah. That's interesting. So you're kind of doing the same thing. You're feeling the intention. If it feels good to you, you respond favorably.
Yeah. If it feels good to me, like maybe I would engage and explore an idea, but more often I just say no.
Yeah.
Like, not going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, when other people are offering sage advice, right? I'm always cautious about that, even in coaching, because people look to me during these conversations as being the person who will tell them what to do. And that's not my job. It's not my job. But if people insist on getting my opinion, what I will usually say is, well, I will tell you what I would do, but I'm not you. You have to do what feels right for you. Like, that's what I do, because I don't want the responsibility of telling people what to do all the time. It's not appropriate. It's not actually real. It doesn't actually work. And it just is laced with shoulds, shouldas.
And as a person who might tell someone what they should do, we all love telling people what they should do, right? That's the whole thing too. Why do we feel compelled to tell people what we think they should do?
Yeah.
But even removing the word should and putting some different language in there can be really helpful. And it turns you from someone who's telling someone what to do to someone who's maybe guiding someone through thinking differently. Like,
guiding
I'm sure
and
what
offering.
you do, right? Like, so I was saying, you should do this. Have you thought about?
Yes.
Right.
Or
even
what
just
about
flipping it a
this?
little bit, right?
Yeah. Again,
turning a, like, I don't know, opinion of what someone else should do into like a curiosity of what their journey has been, or if they've thought about something from a different angle, also changes the energy.
And exactly what you're talking about is you're changing the conversation from a constricted conversation to one of expansive and creation.
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly what that is. And I again, that intention piece is really purely in the center of all of that. And I think too, because absolutes feel easy sometimes. Absolutes feel like, and I think maybe that's why we like that word should so much, because an absolute feels like you don't have to think very much. You can just go do it. And who wants to have to think about everything? It's so dumb. It takes too long, takes too much work.
We talked about the word should internally being a shortcut to guilt. But when you're telling someone what they should do, it's like you're kind of also using it as a shortcut, right? You're trying to get just to a point really quick.
But bypass all the work.
Right. But I think you got to do the work.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. You get to do the work.
You get to do the work. All right. Well, this was fun. This was a fun, like, kind of random thought.
Yeah, I love it though. It's so good.
Did you enjoy this episode? Please go to your favorite podcast platform to subscribe, rate, and leave a review so others can discover it as well.
Growing self-awareness is a lifelong journey, and there's always further to go. And it's better when we're all in it together. Please think of someone you know who could benefit from hearing today's conversation and share this episode with them. We can't thank you enough for listening. Until next time, happy exploring, seekers.